Okay, now let's see rule 4, transaction value of identical goods. Why we have come to rule 4? Because our own transaction value at which we imported the goods has got rejected. Okay, so then we have come to rule 4. Now what rule 4 says? That you have to take transaction value of identical goods as your transaction value. So first of all, what do you mean by identical goods? We have to see that. So we'll see the definition of identical goods. Then we'll go and find these identical goods which have been imported into India at or about the same time at which we have imported the goods. So if we have imported the goods on say 22nd of March, we'll find out has any identical goods been imported on 22nd March or one day here and there. If we find an identical goods which has been imported, like I have imported Apple Pencil and somebody else has also imported Apple Pencil, that is identical goods, same features. At what price has he imported the goods? That will be taken as my transaction value. So his transaction value, if accepted, if he was not related party and the price was sole consideration for sale, so his transaction value has been accepted. So his transaction value will be taken as my assessable value as well. But if we find many imports of identical goods, then for comparison we'll check 2 points: the commercial level at which I am standing and he is standing. He means the person who has imported goods, identical goods. So our commercial level should be same. Commercial levels means like I am a manufacturer, so he should also be a manufacturer. I am a dealer, so he should also be a dealer. I am a retailer, he should also be a retailer. I am a consumer, he should also be consumer. So that is called as commercial level. So we'll have to find the identical goods which is imported at the same commercial level and approximately the same quantity as well, because if the quantities are different then price will differ because of discounts. So same quantity, same commercial level. If found, very good. If not found, but we know identical goods imported at some other commercial level or some other quantity, then we'll see what is the difference in the commercial level, and because of difference in commercial level, how much price can be affected. That we will adjust. That much we'll adjust. So how we'll adjust, I'll tell you. Like if I am a consumer, but the other person who has imported identical goods is a dealer, so obviously he'll get a dealer discount. So that discount will be added back. Dealer discount or dealer margin that he has received will be added back, so that his price is converted into consumer price, and then that is compared with me. So we'll have to make those adjustments. Okay. And similarly, if the quantity is different, if my quantity is much more than his quantity, then he would not have got quantity discount. So we'll reduce quantity discount that I am getting because of high quantity. And after reducing that quantity discount, then the price will be taken as my price. So we'll have to make adjustments, and after making adjustments, we'll take that price. So one is the commercial level adjustment, one is the quantity adjustment, and the third will be the import, the transport that you have used, the freight difference. So if he has imported by air, then he would have paid high freight. I have imported by sea, so his freight will be reduced, my freight will be added. Okay, so that adjustment also we'll make. So 2-3 adjustments are made, and then the price is accepted as the value of the goods. So let's see, very simple rule. Firstly, the definition of identical goods. What do you mean by identical goods? So it says it means imported goods which are same in all respects, including physical characteristics, quality and reputation, as the goods being valued, except for minor differences in appearance which do not affect the value of the goods. Now if we talk about branded goods, like you have imported a Rolls-Royce and the valuation is taking place, then obviously identical goods means Rolls-Royce itself. No other car will come under identical goods. It will be same brand. I have imported Apple Pencil, then identical goods means Apple Pencil only, and not even Nokia Pencil or any other thing. No, it has to be the same. Identical means absolutely same. Absolutely same. in terms of physical characteristics, quality and reputation also. Except for minor differences, like in case of mobile phones, I have imported Apple 10. You have also imported Apple 10. But the minor difference is in the color. Mine is a grey color, yours is a silver color. Then that's fine, that is accepted. Provided it doesn't have effect on value. If suppose it's some special kind of a color and the price is different for that color, like red, Apple red, price is different, then that will not be considered as identical goods. Even though it is the same phone, still it will not be considered as identical goods, because there is a little bit different, not just minor but quite difference in price. So then it will not be accepted. Then it may be considered as similar but not identical. Okay. So identical means it should be same. Minor difference can be there, color difference is there, but it does not affect the price. Then it is accepted. Then it is accepted as identical goods. And if you talk about non-branded goods like cloth, I have imported cloth, you have also imported cloth. Mine is cotton, yours is also cotton. And we'll see the texture of the cotton and all these things, the technical compositions and all. If that is same, then it will be called as identical goods. Okay, because it is not branded, it is just cotton. Okay. So let's see, which are same in all respects. First point, very important point, which are same. Same means exactly same in all respects. Physical characteristics, quality, reputation, everything. Then produced in the same country in which the goods being valued were produced. So if my goods, my valuation is going on, my goods are coming from China, so your goods should also come from China. So if suppose I am importing this Apple pencil straight from China, but you are importing absolutely same Apple pencil, no difference, exactly the same, but from USA, then not allowed. So it should be produced in the same country. Production should be in the same country, okay, not a different country. Even if the goods are exactly the same, but if it is produced in a different country, then they are not identical goods. And thirdly, produced by the same person who produced the goods. Now suppose you have also imported Apple pencil from China only, but my pencil is manufactured by Apple itself and your pencil is manufactured by some other job worker of Apple. Then will it be accepted? Maybe, because here there is a relaxation. It says that produced by same person who produced the goods, or where no such goods are available, then goods produced by a different person will also do. So producer may be different, that is acceptable, but country has to be same. There is no exception to country. Okay, producer may be different, that's fine, that will take care of. If the goods are same, then that is acceptable. Exceptions are, very interesting exception, imported goods where engineering, development work, artwork, design work, plan or sketch undertaken, underline, in India, were completed directly or indirectly by the buyer on these imported goods free of charge or at reduced cost shall not be taken as identical goods. Now you remember in the last lecture we saw that services, these services were covered there, Rule 10, that if these services are provided separately by the importer to the exporter, where the cost has been incurred elsewhere than in India, cost has been incurred outside India, then it had to be added, right? But if these expenses are incurred in India and supplied free of cost, it is not to be added, right? It was not to be added. Therefore what happens here is that this is Mr. F, Farooq Haq, FH, who is importing goods. So for example, he imports Rolls-Royce cars, is being imported, and since I am the major shareholder there in the company, therefore we are related, so my price is rejected. Now you have also imported Rolls-Royce car. You are Mr. AB, Amitabh Bachchan. You have also imported Rolls-Royce car. Same brand and same car, same model of the car. You have also imported, but You know what Amitabh Bachchan had done? He had got the design made by our local DC, local अपना इंडिया का DC, Dilip Chhabadiya. He made the design of this car, and then the design was sent to US company free of cost, FOC, for making the car. And then the car was made and supplied to Mr. EB. Now the car is exactly the same model. Of course the interiors look a bit different because he has made a special design for that, but still. Will this car be accepted as identical goods for me? Will this car be considered as identical goods? Or even similar goods? We'll see the same point in the next rule. Will it be considered as identical or similar? Answer is no. It will not be considered as identical nor similar goods, because the design work in respect of this car has been done in India, made by DC in India. You write down, otherwise you will not remember later on. In India. So if this design work has been done in India and then supplied free of cost to the US company for manufacturing of the car, and the car was later imported by AB, that car cannot be considered as identical goods for me, because the reason is simple. This cost has not been included in the transaction value. That is the reason. This expense, this cost, has not been included in transaction value under Rule 10. Because Rule 10 said that if the design work is undertaken outside India and then supplied, then you include it. But if it is done in India, then you don't include it. Means this transaction value does not include the cost of design. But in my case, it should be included, because I haven't done designing in India. For me, the designing is done by the company itself. So design cost is an integral part. It should be included. But this price does not include. Hence, this price cannot be accepted here. So therefore it is written that these goods will not be considered as identical goods. Means that price cannot be taken here. Understood? Simple logic? Very good. So come back. So therefore it is written that it cannot be accepted. So that is the definition of identical goods. Now let's see how it is to be accepted, how that transaction value will be taken as my transaction value or my assessable value. So it says the value of imported goods, means my goods, Farooq Haq goods, is equal to transaction value of identical goods imported at or about the same time as the goods being valued. Timing should be same. If I have imported my goods on 22nd March, then that other goods, the identical goods, should also have been imported at or about the same time. Now, at or about the same time doesn't mean exactly 22nd March. It can be 21st March, it can be 20th March, it can be 2-3 days, 4 days here and there, depending upon that prices are not fluctuating. Provided that the transaction value provisionally assessed under section 18 shall not be considered. Means if identical goods have not been finally assessed, if they are assessed under section 18, identical goods had been imported but the valuation is done under section 18 for the time being, means it is not final, then that will not be accepted here. Okay, because we cannot wait for that finalization, so it will be rejected. It should be finally assessed. Transaction value of identical goods determined under section 17. It should be straight away final assessment, then it will be accepted. Then transaction value of identical goods is in a sale at same commercial level and substantially the same quantity as the goods being valued shall be used to determine the value of imported goods. Means if we have these identical goods known to us, they should be at the same commercial level and same quantity. Two things have to be checked. Commercial level, as I told you, is the level at which you stand in the business in India, whether you are a manufacturer or you are a dealer or a wholesaler or a retailer or a consumer. So if I am a consumer, that identical goods should also have been imported by a consumer. If I am a dealer, identical goods should have been imported by dealer. So I will take dealer's price, not consumer's price. So it should be at the same level and same quantity. substantially the same quantity, because if there is a vast difference in quantity, then there will be a difference in price because of difference in quantity discounts. Okay, but where no sale referred to under B is found, means if on the same level and same quantity is not found, then what? Then transaction value of identical goods sold at a different commercial level or different quantity or both different shall be used, but after making adjustments. You'll have to adjust this price because it is at a different level, the price will be different, so you'll have to adjust it to bring it at my commercial level or to bring it at my quantity. Okay, to take into account the difference attributable to level and quantity or both. Such adjustments shall be made on the basis of demonstrated evidence which clearly establishes the reasonableness and accuracy of the adjustments. So we'll have to give the proof of adjustment also, that why this adjustment is made. Suppose I'm saying that I'm importing 20,000 units and the other person has imported identical goods of only 10,000 units. So there is a difference of 10,000 units. So I'll have to prove that the exporter gives discount at this rate to 10,000 units and at this rate to 20,000 units. Hence I am deducting that much difference from his price. Further discount is getting reduced. So I'll have to prove this. Whatever adjustments I'm making should be provable. Okay, should be demonstrative. The reasonableness has to be proved and the accuracy has to be proved. Whether such adjustment leads to increase or decrease in value, we are not concerned with increase or decrease. Whatever adjustment is required, you have to make it to bring it in line with the actual import for which the valuation is to be done. And secondly, where cost of freight and insurance are included in the transaction value of identical goods, an adjustment shall be made if there are significant differences in such costs. So if the freight is different, then we'll have to adjust that also. So his freight will be reduced and my freight will be added. Okay, so it is given here. Take the CIF of identical goods, reduce the freight which is included there in that CIF, you reduce it and add our freight, the imported goods which are to be valued, add our freight and insurance to it. And if more than one transaction value of identical goods is found, suppose there are 2-3 players means importers, who have imported at my commercial level and in the same quantity, then what? Then we'll take the lowest of such values. We'll take the lowest of such values. So if 3 identical goods are available, we'll take the lowest price. Interesting. Okay. Then coming to rule 5, similar goods. Now rule 4 and rule 5 are same. Only thing is the goods are slightly different. Rule 4 is for identical goods, means exactly the same. But if no identical goods have been imported at or about the same time. When I imported my televisions, nobody else imported those kinds of televisions. Exactly the same, nobody has imported Sony TV. But yeah, some people have imported Samsung. So okay, then let's take similar goods. So they are then called as similar goods. Goods which are slightly different, but then homogeneous nature. They can be homogeneous, means they can be replaceable. Then they are called as similar goods. So then we can take that value. So let's see. First we'll see definition of similar goods. It says which although not alike. So here is the difference. Identical goods meant alike, exactly same. Here it says although not alike in all respects, but have like characteristics and component materials. The component material should be same. Like this is a flat screen 56-inch TV, that should also be a flat screen 56-inch TV. If this is LED, that should also be LED. If this is LCD, that should also be LCD. The component should be same. Characteristics and components have to be same, which enable them to perform same functions. So this is the functionality test. Functions should be same and be commercially interchangeable. These are all important words, huh? You have to remember. Commercially interchangeable means in the industry one can be used for the other and the other can be used for the first. They are commercially interchangeable. Like if you import a car, sedan, and somebody imports an SUV, can they be commercially interchangeable? No. Now you will say both are car, both can take you from here to there. That's fine, but in terms of this thing, it cannot be said to be commercially interchangeable. But yeah, two sedans can be said to be commercially interchangeable. Two SUVs of the same kind, same quality, 7-seater, 7-seater, 9-seater, 9-seater, same nature, same engine size, then they will be called as commercially interchangeable. 2500cc, 2500cc, then commercially interchangeable. Not like Fortuner and Creta. Can you say Fortuner and Creta are commercially interchangeable? No. If you give Fortuner to Creta guy, he says yes. But if you give a Hyundai Creta to a person who was running Fortuner, he will not accept it. It will look like a kid to him. So they are not commercially interchangeable. But yeah, Fortuner and Pajero Sport, yeah, they can be considered as commercially interchangeable. So you have to see like that. Okay. So same functions and commercially interchangeable with the goods being valued, having regard to quality, reputation and existence of trademark. This is also important. Quality should be similar. So a Chinese SUV and a Japanese SUV cannot be compared. Huge difference in quality. Okay. So quality, reputation in the market, the brand reputation, the brand building and trademarks should be maintained. Like if we compare shoes, so Reebok and Nike can be compared, but a Chinese shoe and Nike cannot be compared because of quality and reputation. Okay. Then the other 2 points are similar to the identical goods definition. Country should be the same in which the similar goods are manufactured, and same person, they should be manufactured by the same person, or if not available, then some other person will also do. Different person is acceptable. So if I have imported Nike shoes and you have also imported Nike shoes, but with a little bit differences there, they are similar, not identical, then okay, fine. Or if nobody has imported Nike but somebody has imported Reebok, then okay, we can take that also. Because Reebok and Nike have almost similar brand value. Then again the exception is the same, that if design work etc. was undertaken in India on those similar goods, then they will not be accepted. Logic remains the same because this design work expense has not been included in its transaction value. Then how to take the transaction value of similar goods? So this part, the rule actually remains the same. Rule 5 is exactly copy of rule 4, dicto copy. So it says the value of imported goods is equal to transaction value of similar goods imported at or about the same time as the goods being valued, provided that the transaction value provisionally assessed will not be taken. And secondly, it should be taken at the same commercial level and same quantity. Right? Should be used to determine the value of imported goods. And if not available, then at a different level and different quantity can be used, but after making adjustments to account for differences in the label and the quantity. So quantity difference means the discount difference, so you have to adjust the discount difference, and label means the margin difference, so you will have to adjust the margin difference and then accept it. And such adjustments have to be demonstrated evidence. Simple. And reasonableness and accuracy has to be proved. It can lead to increase or decrease in value. And secondly, the freight and insurance, if there is a considerable difference in freight and insurance, then that will also be adjusted. So your freight and insurance will be reduced and my freight and insurance will be added. Simple. And if more than one value is determined, lot of similar goods were imported and we have got a lot of comparable quantity and comparable label, then the lowest will be taken. Now this lowest rule is to be applied only when more than one values are available at the same commercial level and quantity. Then you use this. So first you apply the quantity rule and the commercial level rule. So if there are different imports, we'll find out the one which is closest to us. We'll accept that one. Only one, not the lowest one. So first we'll apply the rule of closeness. If lot of them are close, then the lowest one. Okay, so let me give you an example of this. That if I am imported, the importer whose valuation is to be done. Now this example fits for both identical and similar. He has imported 500 units at rupees 350 per unit. This is the price. But this price has been rejected. No problem. And he is a dealer. He's a dealer. So now other imports of identical or similar goods we'll find out. So if there are a lot of them, A 600 units at 250, B 790 units at 210, C 510 units at 340, D 490 units at 346, E 300 units at 400. So we'll find different imports of identical or similar goods, either all identical or all similar. Then in that case what we'll do is, first we'll find out the closeness. So we have got 500 units and we are dealers, so all these are dealers also. All of them are dealers, so very good. We haven't taken other commercial level. We found at the same commercial level, all of them are dealers, very good. So one thing is sure, that the commercial level is same. Now see the quantity. 600, 500 quite far, 790 still far, 510 close, 490 close. So these two are close, almost there. So we'll take these two into consideration. Okay, we'll leave out the others because others are quite far, there's a huge difference in quantity, so we'll leave out. We'll take these two into consideration, 10 up, 10 down. Now since two transactions are close, then we'll apply the lowest rule. So which one we'll take? 341. Lowest means not lowest in quantity, lowest price. So these are the two prices available, 340 and 346. We'll take the lowest one, 340. So 340 will become the transaction value in this case. I mean to say the accessible value. Understood? Very good. Very simple logic, and we'll see the questions also later on, so you'll understand more. Then rule 6 says determination of value where value cannot be determined under 3, 4 and 5. Means our transaction value has been rejected. You don't have import of any identical goods at the same time, and no similar goods are also imported at the same time. No identical, no similar, nothing. Then what to do? So then rule 6 says that if the value cannot be determined under 3, 4 and 5, the value shall be determined under provisions of rule 7, or if the value cannot be determined under that rule, then rule 8. So first you apply 7, and then if not determinable, then go to 8. However, it says provided that at the request of the importer and with the approval of the proper officer, the order of application of 7 and 8 can be reversed. So with the permission of the officer, they can be reversed also. Means normally you apply 7 and then go to 8, but if you request and it is accepted by the officer, then you can apply first rule 8, and then if it is not possible, then go to rule 7. Now you'll understand this, that why 8 is applied first. I'll explain you the logic. First let us see what these two rules are. So let's go to rule 7. Rule 7 and rule 8 both are very simple. They are opposites of each other. Rule 7 says deductive value. Very interesting rule. It says deductive value. Now what that means, you okay, I'll explain this first by way of a diagram, and then you can study it from there. It's very simple. We have imported certain goods, right? Imported goods A, and at this point of time no one else imported the identical nor similar goods, hence there is a problem, and we are the related people of exporters, so our price is rejected because of relationship, and the price is influenced, and we don't know whether price is influenced or not, so it is rejected. So anyways, I've imported these goods, they are lying with me. So what I can do is, either I can pay provisional duty on this. Remember rule section 18, that if the value cannot be determined, you can apply to the proper officer for allowing you to pay duty on provisional basis and remove the goods. So he can then tell us that what value should be taken, we'll take that value, pay the duty and remove the goods, right? Do you remember section 18? And then when the value can be determined, we'll submit the details and finalization will take place. Remember section 18? So these are the imported goods. We can pay provisional duty and remove them and then sell them. So first we'll pay provisional duty, okay, PROV, provisional duty paid, and we'll remove. After removal, we will sell them to resale, okay, we'll resell. To whom? Unrelated buyers, to unrelated persons, and where the price is the sole consideration for sale. So this is the real price, because I am selling it in market, so obviously that is not an affected price, that is a real price. Unrelated people, and price is the sole consideration. So this price that we'll get here, say for example rupees 340 per unit is my resale price. This we got, this is the real price, no adjustments here. Very good. Now what you do is, you find out as to what things add to the value after the goods are imported and up to the point of resale. All these value additions will be reduced, will be deducted from this price, and if we deduct these value additions from here, then we'll get the price at which the goods should have been imported. We go back to the import price, right? So what are these value additions? Number one, the taxes, the import duties and all which are levied here, import duties, IGST, etc., which are levied, plus the transport cost, plus the normal profit, the gross profit margin, considering all the expenses, etc., that is charged on like goods imported and sold into India. So what we'll do is, we'll see what is this industry. These goods belong to say chocolate industry. So these are the chocolates. So when people import chocolates into India and they sell, what is the normal gross profit that they earn? This can be found from the industry. Government has the records, they know as to how much is the value addition, it means how much is the GP on sale of these chocolates in India, how much margin people take. So normally it remains same in the industry. So we will add that normal GP, the gross profit margin. So these three taken together is the value addition. So now what we'll do is, we will reduce these three from this 340. So you reduce these three from the 340. Now this 3 comes to say 120 taken together. So that 120 will be reduced from 340. If we reduce it, then I will get a price here of 220. 340 minus 120, 220. This 220 is called as the deducted value. Then this 220 will be taken here to finalize the assessment. So first provisional assessment was done, duty was paid. Now this value will be taken and the assessment will be finalized, and the difference of tax will either be paid by you or refunded to you, as the case may be. So we'll compare it with how much tax has been paid here. If provisional tax has been paid in excess, it will be refunded subject to unjust enrichment concept, and if more tax is to be paid, you will pay the additional tax, the differential tax. So understood how do we calculate the deductive value? Very good. Now, is it necessary that we should remove these goods and then they should only be sold? No. It might be that identical goods are getting sold. We can take the resale price of identical goods also. For example, identical goods had been imported 2 months back. 2 months back. Now, those identical goods are sold today in the market. So, we can take their resale price also and then go backwards and get the price. Okay. So, this resale can be of imported goods themselves or identical goods or similar goods. Understood? So now let's see. So it is given here that if the goods being valued, means the imported goods themselves or identical or similar imported goods are sold in India, means there is a resale taking place. Okay, in the condition as imported. Now here also the rule will give 2 points. The example that I have given is of the first point, that is in the condition as imported, means we are not manufacturing something out of it, we are not changing the condition. The goods are imported and they are sold in the same condition. I have imported chocolates and I am selling the chocolates in the same condition. Okay. At or about the time at which the bill of entry is presented, the value of imported goods shall be the unit price at which, unit price means price per piece, like I said 340 per piece, unit price at which such goods are sold in the greatest aggregate quantity to persons who are not related to sellers in India. Now another very important point, this is called also called as the NTV. Anyway, greatest aggregate quantity is sold, price at which, unit price at which the greatest aggregate quantity is sold will be taken. Now what that means, let me tell you. So come back to this example. So this 340 that we have taken, this comes from where? Let me tell you. Let me give an example. Okay. So if we consider sales on 23rd March, okay, if we consider sales on 23rd March, and there are lots of sales on 23rd March, not just one sale but many sales are there. 200 unit at 340 per unit, 500 units at 275 per unit, 700 units at 270 per unit, 600 units at 340, 275 units at 300, and 120 units at 275 per unit. So which one will be considered? So it says that price at which the greatest aggregate quantity of goods are sold. Take that price at which the greatest aggregate quantity is sold. So which price should we take? What is the greatest quantity? 700. So price for 700 is 270. So should I take 270 per unit? No. It doesn't say greatest quantity. It says greatest aggregate quantity. So in a day, in a particular day, we have to see what is the price at which the greatest aggregate quantity is sold. So if you consider 340 as a price, 340, 200 units are sold, and again at 340, 600 units are sold. So 340 is the price at which 800 units are sold in this day. That is aggregate quantity. 600 and 200, total 800 units are sold. 275 is the price at which 500 and 120 is sold. So total becomes 620. 270 is the price at which only one sale is there, 700. 300 is the price at which only one sale is there, 275. So what is the price at which the greatest aggregate quantity sold? 340. 340 is the price at which 200 plus 600, that is 800 units, aggregate units are sold. So therefore 340 will be considered. Understood? So this is the meaning of greatest aggregate quantity. So now you come back. So we'll take unit price at which the greatest aggregate quantity has been sold. less. From there you less. Less means that value addition is to be reduced. Commission usually paid or the additions usually made. This is that GP, the total gross profit that you add. Additions usually made for profits and general expenses. That is what we call as the GP margin, which you add in connection with sales in India of imported goods of the same class or kind. Now here it says goods of the same class or kind, means you have to see the industry as a whole. Like if this is a chocolate industry, then what is the normal GP added in case of chocolate industry as a whole? That will be known, that will be seen from the market as a whole, and that will be reduced. Then cost of transport and insurance, and the custom duties and other taxes. So these three things are normally reduced. After reducing these three, the balance that we'll get will be accepted as the assessable value. Then it says that if neither the imported goods nor the identical nor similar goods are sold at or about the same time, say I've imported goods on 19th of March, and on 19th of March there is no sale taking place, then it says okay, you can wait. You can wait for the sales to take place in India, and you have to wait, and you can wait only up to 90 days after such importation, and within 90 days you have to finalize the value. So it says the value of imported goods shall be based on the unit price at which such goods are sold in India at the earliest date after importation, but before expiry of 90 days from importation. Then second point is that if the imported goods or identical or similar goods are sold in India after further processing, means if we bring raw materials into India, if we are importing raw materials and then we are processing it and then the finished goods is sold in India, then how to find out deductive value? So no problem, we'll find out the sale price of finished goods. From there we'll reduce the manufacturing value addition also. So now manufacturing is done, so value addition is done, so that value addition will also be reduced. So we have to reach the price of raw material from the price of finished goods. So we'll take price of finished goods, reduce the value addition of manufacturing and the other transport cost and taxes, and reach this point. So that is given here in this table, that you take unit price at which the imported goods after further processing are sold in the greatest aggregate quantity. Two persons who are not related. Okay. Then from there you deduct the value added by processing, means the manufacturing value addition is to be reduced. Then commissions usually paid, means the GP margin, the usual cost of transport expense for the raw material to be brought from custom station to the factory, and the custom duty itself. So you are going backwards, right? The remaining will be the assessable value of the raw material which is imported into India. And then those examples are again given below. The term unit price at which goods are sold in greatest aggregate quantity means the price at which the greatest number of units is sold in sales to non-related persons at the first commercial level after importation. And as an example of this, goods are sold from a price list which grants favorable unit prices for purchase made in larger quantities. Obviously, like this example you can see, sale quantity 1 to 10 units, unit price 100, number of sales 10 sales of 5 units. 10 sales of 5 units means 10 sales of 5 means 50 total, and 5 sales of 3 units means 15. So total is 65 total quantity. So this is at a unit price of 100. Then at the unit price of 95, 5 sales of 11 units means 55, and 90 is the price at which one sale is of 30 units and one sale of 50. So 50 and 30 if you take together, that is 80. So aggregate quantity is 80. So which is the highest aggregate quantity? 80. Price 90. So this will be taken into consideration. So all simple points. And then third point says it should be noted that profit and general expenses referred to in rule 7.1 should be taken as a whole. Profit and general expenses means the GP. GP includes expenses, na? Hence I told you GP. GP margin includes expenses. The figure should be determined by importer or determined from sales in India of imported goods of the same class or kind. And general expenses include direct and indirect cost of marketing, etc., administration expense and all. And local taxes payable by reason of sale of the goods for which a deduction is not made under 713 shall be deducted under 711, obviously. And where this method is used, deductions made for the value added by further processing shall be based on objective and quantifiable data, accepted industry formulas, recipes, methods of construction, and so on and so forth can be used. This is all general knowledge, nothing to be mugged up. So all these points are there, just for reference. It is on case to case basis. Okay, then coming to rule 8, computed value. Now computed value is the reverse process. So let me explain the logic of this also. In computed value, what we are going to do is go to USA, where the goods were manufactured and then imported into India. The goods were imported, manufactured in USA, and then supplied to India. So we'll go to USA, find out the cost of production. What is the cost of production of these goods in USA? So by applying the rules of costing, we'll find out the cost of production. Then we'll add to it the GP, the normal margin, which is charged by manufacturers of US when they export their goods to India. The normal GP for export of such goods means the like goods, to India. What is the industry GP margin which they charge when they export goods to India? So we'll add that. So once we add that, we'll get the FOB value. Then what is the freight and insurance for bringing the goods to India, that we know? We'll add that freight and insurance, and once we add that, we'll get the CIF. Simple. So this is the simplest method, you can say, computed value. This is called as computed value method. But this is possible only when we get this data. Cost of production data should be available. So that company, the US company, should be our own company, then only they will provide us with the necessary costing records. If it is an independent person and we are independent person, can we get this record in India? No, they will not. This is their internal record, they will not give us their records. So then we'll have to apply rule 7, that is computed value. But if this person is our own subsidiary or our parent company, say this is parent company and the importer is a subsidiary, then the data is available. So as this data is available in India, we can apply rule 8 before rule 7. So therefore rule 6 had said that if the importer applies and the officer agrees, then rule 8 can be applied before rule 7. Means you can apply this rule instead of deductive value, because this is more objective. This is more what we can say, more precise, more objective, more precise. So see, it says, it's very simple one, that the value of imported goods shall be based on the computed value, which shall consist of sum means aggregate of the cost of value of materials and fabrication or other processing employed in production of the imported goods, the amount of profit and general expenses, that is GP, equal to that usually reflected in sale of goods of the same class or kind, right, and the cost of freight and insurance up to the port of importation. Very simple, simplest of all. Then moving ahead is the residual method. So if all the rules fail, there is no importation of identical goods, there was no importation of similar goods, we cannot find out the deductive value nor find out the computed value. If nothing is possible, then what you do? Then you apply rule 9. Rule 9 is also called as the best judgment rule, that where the value cannot be determined under the provisions of any of the preceding rules, The value shall be determined using reasonable means consistent with the principles and general provisions of these rules and on the basis of data available in India. So apply your mind, if any, and the other rules, the composite, we can say the principles of the rules, and find out the value. Provided that such value so determined shall not exceed, interesting one, shall not exceed. Now officer will apply his mind and he will determine any value. He will say that okay, the value is 50,000. How can it be 50,000? The price of these goods in international market for export to India is only 500 rupees per piece, and you are taking 50,000. How is that possible? Since you are given the right to determine, doesn't mean that you can determine anything. So therefore the limiting rule says that it shall not exceed the price at which such or like goods are ordinarily sold or offered for sale. Ordinarily sold or offered for sale. So we'll go to US, we'll call the catalog of their exporter. Look, this is the catalog of the exporter. His normal price of sale itself is 500. He cannot sell more than 500 rupees per unit or offered for sale. Catalog price is offer for sale. For delivery at the time and place of importation. Means this catalog he has for export to India. In the course of international trade, it should be in the course of international trade, of course, not the domestic price, but international trade, US to India, where the buyer and seller are has no interest in the business of each other, and price is the sole consideration for sale or offer for sale. So same conditions as we saw in section 14 itself. And sub rule 2 is there, which you have to read once, that no value shall be determined under the provisions of this rule on the basis of, these are also the limiting factors, that what the assessing officer cannot do on the basis of selling price in India of goods produced in India. We need international price of imported goods, na. We cannot take Indian goods and Indian selling price. No. How can that be used? Domestic goods, domestic price cannot be used. Then a system which provides for acceptance for customs purposes of the highest of the two alternative values. Means officer can say that okay, apply this rule or that rule and whichever is higher. No such ad hoc method. Then price of the goods on the domestic market of the country of exportation will not go to US and see at what price they are sold in US. That is their domestic price. That cannot be taken here. We need international price for export to India, not their market price. So neither our market price domestic nor their domestic market price. Then cost of production other than computed values which have been determined for identical or similar goods in accordance with Rule 8. So Rule 8 gives the method for calculating cost of production. You cannot apply any other method of cost of production. Then price of the goods for export to a country other than India. Now the same US exporter is also exporting goods to Russia. So can we take that price here for import to India? No. You cannot take that price. Then minimum customs values or any other arbitrary or fictitious values. Now you just remember them theoretically. Theory question may come on this point. May, very rare chance, but may come. Then Rule 11 is declaration. No question will come here, just academic interest. That importer or his agent shall furnish a declaration disclosing full and accurate details of the value of imported goods and any other statement, information, document including invoice of the manufacturer or producer of the imported goods where the goods are imported from or through a person other than manufacturer or producer. If you already have if you are directly importing from manufacturer, then you will have his invoice, so you will produce that. But if you are importing through a dealer, and if required, you will have to obtain the original invoice of the manufacturer and bring it and show it if the officer wants it. So you'll have to get that also, as considered necessary by the proper officer for determination of value of imported goods under these rules. And the officer has a right to satisfy himself. The most important point is written at the last. The officer has a right to satisfy himself as to the truth or accuracy of the statement, information, documents. Obviously. or declarations presented for valuation purpose. Obviously. And then the summary is given at the last. This we have already seen. Summary of transaction value, basically. That you take the value as per the invoice, make adjustments under 10(1), then post importation charges if any, and transaction value, the FOB. After FOB you add 10(2), that is freight and insurance. How? So according to this formula, if imported by vessel or vehicle, if ascertainable then actual cost, not ascertainable then 20% of FOB. And if by air, then you take actual cost, but it should not exceed 20% of FOB. If it is exceeding, you will restrict it to 20%. And if not ascertainable, then 20% of FOB. And insurance, if ascertainable, then actual. If not ascertainable, then 1.125% of FOB. And then add it, so that will give us the CIF, or assessable value. Then there are a few circulars given there, but okay, we'll read it once. Circular number 933 is there, which says that value of goods cleared from 100% EOU to a depot from where the sale thereof to domestic tariff area is affected through consignment agents will have to be determined by sequentially following Rule 3 to 9 of custom valuation rules. That is, if 100% EOU removes the goods into India, into domestic tariff area, then they have to value the goods according to Customs Act. That is the sense of it, because it is deemed import now. Because these EOUs are deemed to be situated outside India. So when they remove goods in DTA, that is considered as deemed import. And as it is considered as deemed import, they will have to value it accordingly, according to customs valuation rules. Secondly, clarification on determination of assessable value in case of sale of warehouse goods before being cleared for home consumption. Another circular number 11/10. That where the assessable value of warehouse goods which are sold before being cleared for home consumption, if there is a sale in the warehouse, should be taken as the price at which the original importer has sold the goods before a bill of entry for home consumption is filed. Means, for example, the original import price was say 2000, but then the importer sold it to another person at 2500. So now when the other person files the bill of entry, what value will be taken? Original import price of 2000 or the resale price of 2500? Which price? So that is the question. So it says the section 14 of the Customs Act provides that the value of the imported goods is the transaction value of the goods. Transaction value is defined to mean the price actually paid or payable for the goods when sold for export to India for delivery at the time and place of importation. We have seen this. In the instant case, the goods are sold after being warehoused. Therefore, it cannot be considered. Means the resale price cannot be considered for export to India. Hence, the price at which the imported goods are sold after warehousing in India does not qualify to be transaction value. So what will be transaction value? The original import price. Let me tell you by giving an example, that if the import is taking place and then the resale in warehouse and then the removal from warehouse by the buyer. So when the removal takes place, we want to know the value into rate. We'll have to assess the duty now. Value into rate. So what will be this value? The import value, suppose the import was at 100 rupees and the resale is at 150. So should I take 100 here as a value of 150 the resale price? So 100. This original import price will be taken as value and not the resale price, because this resale price is not a price paid or payable for export to India. No. This is after export. This is the price at which the goods have been exported to India, means imported into India. So this price will only be taken as value. Understood? Very simple point. So here we'll take a break. These were the import rules. And then in the next lecture we'll see the export rules, which are mostly similar to import rules. Or let me finish it. It will take hardly 15 minutes. So let's do it in this lecture itself. So definitions you can leave. A related person definition is same as import rules, so don't have to study again. Then say determination of method of valuation. The value of export goods shall be the transaction value, same as import. You have to take transaction value. The transaction value shall be accepted even when the buyer and seller are related, provided that the relationship has not influenced the price. Then rejection is given under Rule 8. So rejection is again on the same thing, the doubt. If the proper officer has a doubt regarding your value, then he can ask questions, he can ask you to submit information and documents. And if you don't submit the information document, or even if you submit but he is not satisfied, then he can reject your transaction value. But he has to issue a notice first and then give you an opportunity of being heard before rejecting your value. So those points remain same. Then reasons for raising doubts are also same. Significant variation in value between your export price and other identical goods export price. Then significantly higher value compared to market value of the goods of like kind and quality. And misdeclaration of goods or non-declaration of parameters. So those points are almost the same. And then it says sequentially follow 4 to 6. If your transaction value is rejected, go to 4 to 6. So what are 4 to 6? Let's see. 4 is determination of export value by comparison. So what here it does is that in import goods we had applied 2 rules. Identical goods first, exactly same. If not available, then comparable goods. Here it says take it together. So here it uses the words goods of like kind and quality. So you have to take the transaction value of goods of like kind and quality. Means it will include identical and similar both. Anything will do. If it is like, take it. Like kind and quality. Exported at or about the same time and to the same destination country, and in the absence thereof it can be taken to any other country, and adjusted in accordance with provisions given below. So adjustments are given below. Adjustments as appear to him reasonable, taking into consideration the relevant factors including difference in dates, difference in commercial levels, difference in composition, quality, etc., design and all, and difference in domestic freight and insurance. So all these differences, if any, will be adjusted, just like we do for identical and similar goods, and then take it. If that is not working, then take computed value. Computed value remains the same. Cost of production plus charges for design, brand, etc., and profit. And if that is also not possible, then go to residual method. Residual method is the best judgment method. Applying the mind, if any, the AO will decide the value. Simple. So those were the valuation rules, the import rules and the export rules. Now in the next lecture we'll see the practice questions, the actual practical examples.